distributing knowledge from the United States Congress for every American citizen. Remember to click Remain connected until the end of the movie to learn about the most recent Washington happenings. This news often surprises you. Let's start, friends. I promise you will be amazed by the like button for all those who live in the United States today. We would much benefit from your support, and remember to subscribe. It is totally free. Events happening right now. Currently under discussion among the Democratic Party in the U.S. Congress is whether Joe Biden can still defeat Donald Trump in the forthcoming November elections. So, it is imperative to quickly replace him, especially if they choose the latter choice. Who exactly would be the candidate to replace Joe Biden to lead the Democratic Party in the next November elections? We all saw the horrible discussion last week between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump. We're all ignorant that sadly, President Joe Biden was not in the best of health. Sadly, the Democratic Party is not open enough in appreciating President Biden's age. Is very important in these presidential contests, especially as President Donald Trump's popularity among Republican Party supporters and undecided people observing this debate decides to vote for the Republican Party in the following the November debate. Next elections reflect the major change in the Democratic Party's followers. Sadly, the Democratic Party's credibility and base started to fade under pressure to choose the party's future and, most importantly, its nominee. If you enjoy our material, kindly click the thank you button for the forthcoming elections. This will be much appreciated by our channel. President Biden and his close aides in the White House. And his campaign has said that he would not resign from the presidential race. In a call with campaign aides on Wednesday, President Biden underlined that he will remain in the race. He is still stating that he is the correct someone to challenge Donald Trump in the upcoming presidential contest this month. November. Glance at something, friends. One of the most destructive political mistakes is not understanding the present situation of the country and the need of giving major sacrifices, like quitting a presidential contest to serve the nation based on political experts. If President Biden wants to serve the nation a favor right now, he should back off. And sadly, friends, let a somewhat younger candidate with greater strength fight and finally beat Donald Trump in the next November elections. President Biden seems unconcerned about the present strain as he keeps on pursuing this presidential contest with a certain goal of winning, but today, the United States Congress seems to be changing its viewpoint, exposing fresh news that has startled the Democratic Party as well as the American people. Raul Galba. As many Democrats continue to advocate, who is a representative for the state of Arizona and a member of the Democratic Party, has become the second Democrat in Congress to openly urge President Biden to drop his re-election candidature. Privately, express worries about Joe Biden's future following last week's debate. And here is something quite significant. We should highlight the measures this congressman and representative took. It is not quite easy at all to practically break with his own party in public, inform the nation, and demand President Joe Biden to stand aside and let another person represent not just the Democratic Party, but also the congressional sources, are stating what Congressman, although Raul Grajal has said, is essentially what the great majority of the Democratic Party believes. They are reluctant to voice it since they still speak privately and within United States Congress. But no, it is rather crucial to notify President Biden personally that he has to get out of as one or nearly none of anybody dares to appear before the media to tell the nation, tell the globe. The presidential contest since, on the reverse, they will surely lose the elections. For sure in November, Congressman Galba said the New York Times that, even if Biden's campaign is still under progress, he will surely support him should he proceed to the last phases, but he sees a chance to explore elsewhere. Furthermore, he said, President Biden has to take care of keeping that seat, and part of that obligation entails leaving here. Race instantly, as Congressman Galba declared unequivocally, which naturally shocked all his Democratic Party colleagues from the United States Congress. Evidently no one expected Congressman Galba would make these public remarks. It's crucial to remember that the congressman has great impact, not just in his area and state, but also at the general Congress level, since certain analysts have observed other congressmen now joining this appeal, thereby establishing a chain of newsrooms. Will compel Joe Biden, the U.S. president, to formally drop from the presidential contest. Of course, the first Democrat from an uncertain state to ask President Biden to step aside is Congressman Galba. Let's not forget. Now exactly an undecided state for the next November elections, Joe Biden won Arizona in 2020 by a very slim margin, turning the state blue with just over 10,000 votes. The political environment in Arizona still remains unresolved, veiled in doubt as the state teeters on perhaps changing Republican in the next November elections. The razor-thin margin by which President Joe Biden achieved victory almost 4 years ago now raises the specter of a notable political alignment. Based on current polling and analysis, Biden might very well lose Arizona, a state vital to his past electoral success, in a significant development emblematic Lloyd Do-It-A. He remains in the presidential campaign. Texas Democrat has become the first member of his party on Capitol Hill to publicly call for President Biden to drop from the presidential contest. Dott's address marks a turning point since he spearheads the vocal expression in questions over Biden's electability versus possible Republican opponents, notably Donald Trump following Dott's public request. Another notable political person has repeated this view. A congressman from Arizona, whose identity is attracting a lot of attention, has also called on President Biden. The Arizona congressman who withdrew Dott's audacious action has been inspired to promote the demand for Biden to drop his campaign in favor of a more strong opponent under increasing pressure on Biden, coming among a range of elements, including economic concerns, legislative problems, and changing voter demographics, could affect Biden's re-election prospects, according to backdrop of fluctuating approval ratings and growing conjecture on his potential to secure a second-term. Political commentators point to. The Democratic Party has great stakes as the political drama plays out. The demand for Biden to stand aside highlights a larger discussion inside the party about its future leadership and approach to keep important battleground states. With Arizona's electoral relevance precariously balanced, the choices taken in the next months could drastically change the course of the presidential contest in 2024. President Joe Biden broke his silence in response to growing pressure from members of his own Democratic Party concerning his political future over past hours and days. These calls have become louder, with many speculating about the president's next action. Others expected that President Biden may keep mute, pondering the best course of action for the nation, but during a media call, the president has made his opinion rather plain. President Biden answered forcefully to his party colleagues. "Let me be quite clear. I am going to run. Nobody is forcing me out of my presidential campaign. We will win." This condition emphasizes the president's will to run for re-election. In spite of a difficult political environment, recent polls seem to show that based on the most recent Gallup statistics, only 39% of Americans think President Biden will be able to get a second term, showing a general feeling of viability for the American population. Vagueness. Biden's strong statement, according to political analysts, seeks to silence Democratic Party internal criticism and inspire confidence in the voters. The president's campaign staff has highlighted as proof of his government's success using current economic data, claiming a startling job growth rate of 4.2% in the last quarter, and a drop in the unemployment rate to 3.6%, the lowest in more than a decade. Notwithstanding these encouraging signs, President Biden's approval ratings present major difficulties. Had stuck around 45% based on a recent Pew Research Center study, stressing the uphill struggle he must fight to persuade most Americans to support his re-election. As the 2024 race approaches, President Biden's relentless dedication to his candidacy is a turning point in American politics. In the next months, he will surely challenge his capacity to unite his party and handle the issues of a doubtful election. Remember to subscribe on the like button to notify everyone, ring the bell and share this video. Thank you very lot. Until the next possibility.